Hello everyone, I welcome all of you to this lecture. Talking about previous lecture, what we have done, we have completed displacement transducers, okay, which is also called as a motion transducer. So we have seen various displacement transducers like variable resistance, variable inductance and variable capacitance. So in this first type, variable displacement is converted into variable resistance. In second one, change in displacement is converted into change in inductance. Similarly, in third one, change in displacement is converted into change in capacitance or variable capacitance. Okay. So this part we have covered in last lecture. So let us see the next type of a transducer, which is called as a pressure transducer. Okay. So what do you mean by pressure transducer? It is a transducer which is converting pressure into electrical signal. Okay. So let us understand first what is a pressure. So pressure is nothing but force acting per unit area measured at a given point or over a surface. We can measure this pressure over a surface or at a given point, and it is nothing but a force acting per unit area. Okay. So that's why if you see pressure transducers or force transducers, they are generally similar. Okay. So we can use pressure transducer for force measurement or force transducer for pressure measurement, no problem. Okay. So if you see the examples of a pressure transducers, these are like this. It contains diaphragms, capsules, different types of bellows and a Bourdon tube. So these are different shapes which are used for measurement of pressure. Okay. So let us start with a diaphragm. So I will show you first diaphragm. So if you see these are called as a different types of diaphragms. Okay. So if you see the diaphragm, what is basically diaphragm? Any thin metal whose ends are fixed between two parallel plates is referred as a diaphragm. Okay. So if you see any diagram, two ends are fixed here, and in between that membrane or thin plate or this corrugated shape can be placed in between that. Okay. So any thin metal whose ends are fixed between two parallel plates can be called as a diaphragm. Okay. So which operating principle is used here, that we have to see. The applied pressure is converted into proportional displacement or a resistance. Okay. Means what? Here, if you consider this as a thin plate, okay. So what will happen here? If you apply pressure from this side, what will happen? There will be either displacement, or what will happen, its length will be increased due to the shape like this. Okay. And we know that as length is increased, what will happen? Yes, its resistance will change. Okay. So this property can be used. Either you can convert this pressure into change in displacement, or you can convert this pressure into change in resistance. And after that, we can use either a resistance transducer that we have seen already, or we can use displacement transducer for the measurement of the pressure. Okay. So primarily it is converted into pressure into displacement or resistance. So this is also called as primary transducer, which we have discussed earlier. And for final conversion, we are requiring another transducer which is called as a secondary transducer. Okay. So if you see this, applied pressure is converted into proportional displacement or resistance. Okay. So the materials used to make the diaphragms are phosphorus, bronze, nickel, beryllium, copper, stainless steels, etc. Okay. So these are some famous materials which are used for diaphragms. There are huge list, but we have to see only this one. We have to refer only this one. Okay. So available in flat or corrugated shapes. So if you see this is called as flat shape, and this type of a shape, if you observe this is called as corrugated shape. Okay. So these are the different types of diaphragms. So this is basically membrane, and if you apply the pressure, it will be stretched. Okay. So here this is also called as thin plate. Basically here we are measuring change in resistance. This is corrugated shape diaphragm. Okay. And here the simple phenomena is described. When we apply the pressure, what will happen? This diaphragm will change its position like this. So it will bend like this. Okay. So due to this, what will happen? This much displacement is displacement we get due to this pressure, or either its length is increased, so its resistance will vary. Okay. So this is the basics, that if you increase the length of a conductor, its resistance will change. Okay. This is basic property. I think you may have known this. So second type of a pressure transducer is capsules or bellows. Let us clear one thing here that we have seen earlier, that I have mentioned that these pressure transducers, or if you see this diaphragm, this is not converting pressure directly into electrical signal. Okay. So it is converting pressure into either displacement, change in displacement, or a change in resistance. Okay. If you see this example, if you apply the pressure here, what will happen? It will convert that pressure into either in displacement or in change in resistance, or in both. Okay. But this is not completed. Okay. The process is not yet completed, because we have to connect one another transducer which will convert that change in displacement or change in resistance into electrical signal. So for complete assembly, we may require two transducers. Okay. And these two transducers are called as primary transducers and secondary transducers. So if you consider this example, here pressure is called as a primary transducer, and if we are using a displacement transducer to convert that another quantity, then that is called as a secondary transducer. Okay. So primary and secondary transducer will work here together to convert that pressure into final electrical signal. So I think you got the meaning of primary and secondary transducer right now. Okay. So let us see the next type, that is capsules or bellows. So this shape is called as a capsules, or this is called as a bellows. Okay. So what will happen here? So this is enclosed shape, we can say. So here we are applying the pressure, and what will happen? Due to this pressure, this part will move upside. Okay, because due to this pressure inside that, it will move towards upwards. So again we are converting this pressure into change in displacement. Similarly, if you add another capsule here, it is called as a double capsule. Okay. So if you see here, the pressure is applied now, and that is again converted into displacement. So either you can use this in like this direction or in horizontal direction, no problem. So if you see this, similarly the similar concept is used here, but the name is bellows now. So if you apply here pressure, what will happen? You will get horizontal displacement, and you can use this in the vertical direction also, no problem. Okay. So this is about capsules and bellows. So this is also primary transducer, which is converting pressure into displacement. Again another type, or third type, is Bourdon tubes. So if you see the Bourdon tube, here the C-shaped Bourdon tube is given or shown. Here it is twisted Bourdon tube, and it is helical because it is in helical order or helical fashion. So if you apply the pressure here, what will happen? This shape will change its direction like this. So direction movement will be like this one. In a twisted Bourdon tube, it will be like this one, direction of movement. Similarly in helical, the direction will be like helical. Okay. So again these are converting your pressure into, we can say, displacement like this one. Again these are the primary transducers. So here I have shown one small diagram, which is nothing but this is pressure transducer, and this is your displacement transducer, or LVDT. Now here what we have done, we have applied the pressure to the Bourdon tube here, and what will happen? Due to this Bourdon tube will change its shape like this in these directions, and due to this core will move, because that core is attached to this C-shaped Bourdon tube. Okay, so here pressure is converted into displacement, and this displacement is converted into electrical by the LVDT. So this is the primary transducer, which is a pressure transducer, and this is the secondary transducer, which is LVDT, which is converting the output of a primary transducer into electrical signal. Okay, so this is primary and this is secondary. So combinedly, this is called as this assemblies can be used as a measurement of a pressure assembly. Okay. Okay, so we have completed this diaphragms, bellows, capsules, and Bourdon tubes. Okay, so let us see force transducer. So what do you mean by force? First, that we have to see. Force can be described as a push or pull on an object. They can be due to phenomena such as gravity, magnetism, or anything that might cause a mass to accelerate. Okay, but basically force is nothing but it can be push or pull on a subject. Okay, so if you see the formula for force, it is like this: force is equal to mass into acceleration. Okay, so it might cause a mass to accelerate. That's why the formula is given like this: mass into acceleration. So which types of force transducers we are using? There are n number of types, but these are something I have added there. That is strain gauge transducer, piezoelectric transducer, magnetostrictive transducer. Okay, but if you see, this type is largely used in industry for measurement of a force. Okay, so it can be also used for measurement of a pressure. So what is a strain gauge transducer or a strain gauge transducer? A strain sensitive material is one whose electrical resistance is proportional to the instantaneous spatial average strain over its surface. Okay, means what? If you see any material which is having this property, okay, and when such a material is stretched, its length increases and its cross section decreases, or cross section area decreases. Okay, so therefore there is an increase in its electrical resistance, and this change in resistance is a measure of a mechanical motion. Okay, or we can say it may be pressure or it may be force, but here we are talking about a force. Okay, so the strain gauge is a device which uses change in electrical resistance to measure the strain. Okay, so here this you have to keep in mind that there are different materials. Which materials that we have to see? If these materials are stretched, its length increases and its cross section decreases. Okay, and such a strain gauge device uses change in electrical resistance to measure the strain. Okay, so here strain is nothing but our force. So it is passive resistive transducer which converts mechanical elongation and compression into a resistance change or a change in resistance. Here is one most important property of a strain gauge, that is a gauge factor or gauge factor we have to discuss here, and that is deciding the sensitivity of any strain gauge, which can be used for measurement of pressure, force, or a strain, we can say. So what is this gauge factor or gauge factor? It is a unit change in resistance per unit change in length of a strain gauge wire. Suppose there is a wire which is having the property, this property, or a strain gauge wire, we can say. The gauge factor can be described by K, and it is given by unit change in resistance per change in a length. So that is dr by r divided by dl by l, where r is the resistance of a gauge wire. So dr is a change in resistance of a wire with respect to original resistance, we can say, without stretched. Length of a L is nothing but a length of a gauge wire in unstretched condition in meter, and dl is change in length of a wire when wire is stretched. Okay, so this gauge factor decides the sensitivity, or its we can say performance of that respective strain gauge. So if you see, this is a typical diagram of a strain gauge. Okay, so if you see, this is a stationary or fixed base, okay, or a body, and this is main platform or movable arm, okay. And if you see this movable arm here, the force can be applied or pressure can be applied, okay. And if you see these wires, this is 1, 2, 3 and 4, these are what? Stretched strain gauge wire or filaments of a strain sensitive wire, okay. So if you see these two wires, these are fixed here and attached to here to this movable platform or movable arm, we can say. Similarly, if you see these two wires, these are fixed here and they are attached to here to this movable arm, okay. So if you apply the force in any direction, what will happen? So these wires will be, any two wires will be stretched or compressed or given a tension, and due to that what will happen, its resistance will change and that material properties used to measure the force or a pressure, okay. So this is all about the strain gauge. So let us see next type of a transducer, which is called as a torque transducer, okay. So what do you mean by torque? So torque is defined as the force that tends to change the linear motion or a rotation of a body. So torque is one type of a force, we can say, that is changing the motion of the body. It may be linear or it may be rotational, okay. So there are two methods which are used for measurement of a torque. First is inline rotating torque sensors. Second one is inline stationary torque sensors, okay. So generally torque is used to measure the motion of a rotating body, or we can say the body which is changing its motion, okay. So inline rotating torque transducer means what? In this, generally sensors are rotating with that body, and in inline stationary torque transducer, what will happen? The sensors are generally stationary, okay. So let us see inline stationary torque transducer, okay, because if you see these two types, any engineer can prefer stationary sensors because maintenance will be less as compared to this one, okay. So that's why we have to see the inline stationary torque transducer. So inline, again I am repeating, inline stationary torque transducer or sensor is a transducer which is measuring the torque of any body, and that sensor is generally stationary, okay. So the effect which is used for measurement of the torque is called as a magnetostrictive effect, okay, and its action depends on the change that occurs in the permeability of magnetic materials, okay. So what do you mean by permeability of magnetic materials? That we have discussed in last lecture. It consists of two primary and two secondary windings mounted near the rotating. Now if you see the assembly for this, so this is the body or the rotating body whose torque is to be measured, and if you see this diagram here, two primary windings and two secondary windings are connected, okay, and generally the supply is given to the primary winding, okay, and this magnetic flux is coupled to the secondary winding. If you are having a clear concepts of magnetics, electromagnetics, you may be understanding what I am telling you. Again I am repeating this. So if you see this assembly here, there are two primary windings and the AC supply is given to this primary winding, and if you see these are the secondary windings and the torque indicator or meter is attached to this secondary winding, okay, and the flux which is induced in secondary winding is due to the primary winding and it will be coupled through the air, we can say, okay, because there is no any core in between this one. So through the air it is coupled, we can say. So if you see this is the rotating body, we can say. Now what is the working principle of this one that we have to consider? Okay, so its action depends on the change that occurs in the permeability of a magnetic materials. Okay, so here we have to see the working of this one. So what will happen here when this body is rotating continuously and when there is a change in torque, we can say. So what will happen here, the compression will be there and here tension will be there. Okay, so what is the compression and tension? See in this diagram. So it is elaborated there. Okay, so just see this diagram for 1 minute carefully, then we will discuss about this one. Okay, so I think you may have seen this. Okay, so this is animated diagram of this one, not different. Okay, so suppose the torque is in this direction, this is called as a, this may be considered as a compression and this may be considered as a tension. Okay, which is exactly opposite to the compression. Okay, so what will happen here when the shaft is not loaded? So this is shaft, we can consider when the shaft is not loaded, the permeability of the shaft is uniform. Okay, equal in amplitude and opposite in phase voltages which are induced in the secondary coils S1 and S2. Okay, but when shaft is subjected to the torque, means it will rotate now. Now the permeability and the number of magnetic lines of flux increases in this direction, increases in this tension direction and decreases in this compression direction. So here magnetic lines of force or flux lines, we can say this will be less and here it will increase. Okay, so what will happen due to this, the voltage that are induced in this secondary, where the meter is attached, do not cancel to each other, their sum is proportional to the torque. Initial condition, what will happen when there is no any motion or torque, we can say initially these two voltages will cancel each other and we can get a zero voltage, but now this shaft is subjected to torque. So that's why here the induced voltage will be different, here induced voltage will be different. So and that sum is proportional to the torque, we can say. So this simple working principle is utilized here. Okay, so don't worry, we will see, if we get a time we will see the video, one YouTube video, animated video related to this, how this works. Okay, but to understand this, your electromagnetic concepts must be clear, crystalline clear, then only you can understand what I am telling to you. Okay, so this is about the torque transducer, and this is the equivalent diagram that is shown here in terms of reluctance. I think you know reluctance. Okay, in electrical wire there is resistance like a property, and in this electromagnetic there is a reluctance property. Okay, now let us consider sound transducers. Okay, so where the sound transducers are used? So if you see the mic, in mic sound transducer is used largely. Okay, so what do you mean by sound transducer? Sound transducer is a device which converts sound into electrical signal. Okay, so it is basically converting sound into electrical energy. The most important example that we are using into day-to-day life is our microphones. Okay, so where these microphones or sound transducers are used, they are used in applications like audio reproduction, recording, television or a telephone. Okay, so there are huge list where the transducer is used, this transducer is used. The examples are capacitive microphone, dynamic microphone, carbon microphone or a piezoelectric microphone. But out of these four, the mostly used microphone is dynamic microphone, and that we have to study now. Okay, so if you see the dynamic microphone, this microphone is generally used in our mic systems. in sound system there is microphone or mic, you may have seen that. Inside that this dynamic microphone assembly is used. Okay. So if you see this diagram, so if you see, this is the magnet. Okay, so this is south pole, this is north pole, this is south pole. Okay, and this is called as a flexible diaphragm. Okay. So diaphragm, what do you mean by diaphragm? That we have seen earlier. And if you see this is the moving coil. Okay, so if you see the diaphragm, it is attached to this electromagnet here, N pole we can say, and this is a moving coil wound onto the former of this one, and the electrical contacts are taken like this. Okay, and generally sound waves are applied like this one. So whenever we are speaking, what will happen? Due to this our voice signal, what will happen? This diaphragm will move, and due to this coil is moving, okay, towards this direction or this direction. Okay, and we know Faraday's law of electromagnetic induction, or you may have clear concepts of electromagnetics, which we have studied in 11th, 12th physics, or in maybe first year. What will happen if we are placing a conductor in a electromagnetic field, and if that conductor is changing its position, what will happen? The flux may get cut, and due to that, or electromagnetic lines may get cut, and due to that, what will happen? There will be a electrical signal or a voltage will be induced in this wire. Okay, so here either flux must be constant, or that conductor must be flux must be movable, or a conductor must be movable. Okay, but in this case, in case of this dynamic microphone, this magnet is stationary. That's why the field we can say can be called as stationary, and this moving coil is changing its position towards this direction or this direction due to this diaphragm, and diaphragm is changing its position due to these sound waves. Okay, so whenever we are speaking, again I am repeating, whenever we are speaking, due to this sound wave, what will happen? This diaphragm will move like this, and as this moving coil is applied here, it will also move, and due to this change in position of this conductor, it is cutting the flux or electromagnetic field we can say, and due to that the voltage will be induced to that, and directly proportional, that will be directly proportional to the sound waves that we are applying here. Okay, so this is the basic working principle of a microphone. So this is a dynamic microphone. Okay, so let us see flow transducer. Okay, so what is the use of this flow transducer? It is used for sensing the rate of a fluid flow. Okay, so there may be different types of fluids which may be used in industry, or it may be used in our home. So we have to sense the rate of that one, and for measurement of that fluid flow we have to use flow transducers. Okay, but while designing any flow transducer, we have to see which type of fluid that is and which properties are there that must be considered for the design of a flow transducers. Okay, so generally there are two types which are used for measurement of a flow. So that can be mechanical or that can be electrical, and there are a number of techniques which are utilized for measurement of this flow. Okay, so the first one is the voltage developed by liquid moving in a magnetic field. So this property can be used. Okay, either this property is largely used, so we have to see the flow meter based upon this first property, voltage developed by the liquid moving in the magnetic field. Okay, secondly, we can also measure the velocity of a sound in a moving fluid. Okay, and based upon that we can also measure the rate of a fluid flow. And there is another technique which can be utilized, that is optical technique, like a ultrasonic flow meter. Okay, so these three are famous, and out of that this is mostly used, and that we have to see the electrical method that we have to see. So voltage, we have to measure the voltage developed by the liquid moving in the magnetic field. Okay, so I want to suggest one thing to that, this magnetic property or magnetic field is mostly used in different types of electrical and electronic devices or circuits. So I request you to revisit your magnetic or electromagnetic concepts please clear that, then only you will understand different circuits based upon that. Okay, so that's why I am telling you, please revisit your basics, recall your basics, these are very important. Okay, so we have to see this flow transducer in a next lecture. Okay, just see the diagram. So this is the diagram of a magnetic flow meter that we have to see, but before that we have to see different equations which are mentioned here, which shows how the flow is measured. Okay, so we will start from this slide in next lecture. Okay, so thank you very much. If there are any doubts, you can ask me, or you can personally message me, no problem. Thank you very much.